out here looking like Trevor Noah. What's up, guys? Tina here. This video is for graduates. You've been job hunting for quite a while now. You've gotten to a stage where you can tell a rejection letter by just reading the first 3 words. We regret to inform you that while we are impressed to go with another candidate, we appreciate your interest in our company. It is with great disappointment, but not discouragement. And then there's the worst one of them all, just no response. There's a lot of people out there that have graduated with their degree. They put in so much work, 3, 4, 5, 6, some even more years towards that degree or master's degree, whatever it is. You spend all that time and energy, you graduate and there's nothing. And, it can get to a stage where it can be so depressing. You start questioning yourself, why is this happening to me? Do I deserve this? Am I good enough? What's going on here? Whatever the case is, let's say you've gotten to a stage where you don't know what to do. You've tried everything. You're just like, you know what? I'll do anything at this stage. Well, I have 2 nuclear options for you, okay? These are not things that are easy to consider, but, if you've gotten to a stage where you've tried everything, then, it might be interesting. Okay, intro. The first nuclear option we're going to look at today is a career pivot. It might be hard for you to think of it this way, but your degree does not define you. When we started university, a lot of us didn't have very good career guidance, so we end up choosing either something that our parents wanted to study, or our schools recommended that we should do, or just what other people were doing. It was really because it's a good career or there's a lot of money in it or people are hiring. It was really the good reasons for choosing a career. So don't let the decisions you made years ago affect your life today. It doesn't have to be that way. So if you're one of those people who's unfortunate enough to end up in a career that's not in demand and that doesn't really have a good career outlook, then you might want to consider pivoting. Pivoting is switching to a completely different career, right? Something that you did not study. It's like switching faculties when you're back in university. Now, career pivoting is actually something that's quite common with people who end up in IT. I've worked with so many people that have started their careers in something completely different. Even right now, I have friends who studied other degrees like finance and commerce, and they're actually switching to IT because apparently that's where the money is. I think what makes career switches to IT a lot easier is the fact that a lot of roles aren't very strict on degree and formal education, that kind of thing. If you can do the job, they will pay you to do the job. Let's talk about the skills gap for a bit. So a skills gap is basically a situation where you have a lot of jobs on offer and a lot of people looking for jobs, but these people are not qualified for these jobs. Therefore, you have a skills gap. This is what's happening in South Africa, and there are 2 main reasons why that's happening. First reason is the brain drain. South Africa has been going through a brain drain for quite a while now, and it's for various reasons, okay? Professionals are leaving the country for better salaries, better living conditions, better standards of living, less crime, and there's various reasons. That alone is a video on its own, so yeah, that's the first reason. The second reason the skills gap exists is the education system is completely out of sync with the economy. The types of skills and candidates being produced by universities and the educational system in SA are not what the economy is looking for. There's a lot of reasons why that's happening. You probably know quite a few of them, but we're not going to dive into them. But the fact is, there's a brain drain and the educational system is not very good. The government of SA is doing something about this. They're working with companies and industries to create pipelines that actually train and recruit people from high schools and universities and make sure they have the skills they require to enter the job market. But I mean, if you think about it, you can put somebody through this whole pipeline, okay? Give them a bursary, study for 4 years, force them to work for your company for 4 years, but there's nothing stopping them from leaving the country after those 4 years. So yeah, it's not really like a foolproof solution, but it's a good approach either way. It's actually a much better approach than whatever they're doing in the education system. Anyway, so you essentially want to do a career pivot into a career that has good salaries, a good career outlook. 10 years down the line, you can see yourself in a good job. Now, how do you know which careers are actually suitable to pivot to? Okay, you can imagine, spending 2 years pivoting to a career only to find out that the salaries aren't that good. It's too super competitive, and well, I can think of two different ways you can find out which careers are hiring. The easiest way is to just go to job sites and find out which companies are hiring, which types of careers are in demand. Okay, this means spending hours and days just looking at job websites, looking at articles, talking to recruiters. That's a hell of a good point, actually. Talk to your recruiters. Lots of networking, and because you're pivoting to something that you don't know, and you need to educate yourself on the things that you don't know, and that can be a very long process. Another approach you can use to figure out which careers are hiring is to look at the critical skills list. So one of the solutions that the SA government has was to create a special visa to make it easy for foreigners from other countries to get hired by local companies in SA. So these guys did their research, they spoke to thousands of companies to try to figure out which skills are companies looking for, and they made a list of those skills. I'm going to list that list in the description, so make sure to check that out. That list will give you a pretty good idea of which careers and industries are actually looking for jobs, which careers are in demand. Now, it's very hard to give advice on how to do a career pivot because everyone's situation is completely different. We have different interests, different skills, different strengths and weaknesses. We have different upbringings, our environment, people around us. Like, all that will actually have a massive impact on how you choose your career pivot, because it's not always going to be the career that pays the most that's suitable, because it's not for everyone. I actually have a video on how I make career decisions, and I think it might be useful if you're considering doing a career pivot. So if you're interested, make sure to check out the video in this top corner here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on career pivoting, especially if you are finding it hard to find a job. Have you thought about it? If you have, what's stopping you? Which careers would you consider switching to? Any and all thoughts, I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments. So the second nuclear option that you have, well, my fellow Zimbabweans would resonate with this one, and that is leave the country. Economic migration is not new. In fact, a lot of people go through it, just on a smaller scale. If you've moved from a smaller city to Joburg or Cape Town for work, that's economic migration. If you've left the rural areas to go to university, that's economic migration. You're moving away from your home for better economic opportunities. But economic migration in this sense is leaving your country. I'm an economic immigrant. I left Zimbabwe because there was no career outlook. Okay. It was very sad, eh? That country. You have people with medical degrees, engineering degrees, accounting degrees, like the biggest degrees in the world, and they are jobless. They've been jobless for the longest time, and they're doing things like selling things on the street. And yeah, it was not nice. And I was lucky enough to get this opportunity to work in SA, and you might want to consider doing something similar. Now, this is not an easy decision to make, okay? You're leaving your family behind. It can be extremely lonely, and God forbid if you have a long distance relationship. Some countries welcome immigrants and you'll have a nice time, and other countries, they're known to be a little bit xenophobic. It's not a light decision, but like I said earlier on, South Africans are really leaving the country in large numbers. There's a South African show called Carte Blanche, and they have an episode called The Great Migration, where they basically talk about South Africa's brain drain. Critical skills visas exist in a lot of countries under different names. In Britain, I think it's called the scarce, it's a very funny word. Australia has a similar program. Canada has a similar program. The United States has a similar program. Pretty much every developed country has something similar to a critical skills visa. So if you've gone to a stage where you've tried everything and a career pivot isn't practical for you, or maybe you have skills that are actually very good, you've spent so much time and money investing in these skills, and there are other countries looking for these skills, and you don't mind leaving the country, then something to think about. It doesn't have to be permanent. You can just leave for like a couple of years, 4, 5, maybe 6 years, And then if you really miss your country, you can always come back. You'll be in a much better position. You'll be financially independent. You'll have enough money to invest when you come back home. You'll have all that much needed experience to get the jobs in the country, because one big reason why a lot of graduates can't find the jobs is experience. The jobs are there, but they require people with like several years of experience. Don't know where they're gonna get those people because they don't exist. There are 2 videos on the screen right now. I think you'll like this one here, but YouTube is confident you're gonna like this one here. You can also check out this playlist, and if you've watched all this content, maybe click here to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, you have a good day.